Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister who received this message. The confession reads like this. Hello, how are you? My name is Name Hidden. I am a Christian. At least you can call me a Christian because each and every Sunday I do go to church. I was raised in a deeply religious family. I grew up in a city where a lot of people they are involved in the fishing industry. When I was still young, my faith was everything to me, my shield against the harsh realities of life. I grew up believing that God could guide me, that I would always walk the path of righteousness. But now when I look back, I can see how easily I was led astray. My husband, his name Peter, not his real name, we made choices that we never imagined we could make. This is how it all began. As for Peter, my husband, we had been married for 10 years and we had been working really hard. We were running a small fishing business along the coast of Mozambique in the Zambezia province near the banks of the Limpopo River. Our business provided for our family and we were able to make a decent living. And we were making good money because commercial fishing had been a part of my childhood and even my family. But over time, things started to go wrong and we were not making money. Our catches were becoming smaller and smaller, and the cost of maintaining our boats and equipment skyrocketed each and every year. It seemed like more fishermen were entering into the business, into the market, making it harder for us to compete. By 2018, the situation had become so bad. We were owing a lot of people. Our debts were piling up and the banks were starting to breathe down our necks. Our boat, which was once our greatest asset, had become a financial burden. The fishing nets were old and torn. We could not even afford to replace them. My husband and I, we would spend sleepless nights worrying about how we would survive. We prayed. Oh, how we prayed. We went to church almost every Sunday, begging God for a miracle, but it felt like our prayers were falling on deaf ears. One evening, after another disappointing day, my husband came home with an idea. It was not the kind of an idea that I expected to hear from my husband because I knew my husband. He was someone who loved God, but because of the situation, my husband, even though he was devoted to God, he sat with me and I still remember we were sitting in the kitchen and he said, "My wife, I have been thinking, we have tried everything, we have prayed, we have worked hard, but nothing is changing. Maybe there is another way." "Another way? What do you mean?" My husband, I asked him. He hesitated, always avoiding me. I spoke to a man today. He's from the north, from Nampula. He told me that there is a way to strengthen our business, but it's not the kind of thing that we talk about in church. My heart sank. I knew where this was going and I did not want to hear it, but I had to know how far Peter was willing to go. He said there are rituals, my wife, rituals that can bring us success, that can make our business thrive. It's dangerous, yes, but it works. He has connections with a Nganga, in brackets, a traditional healer in Chokwe. They do things there, things that can bring us wealth. I was speechless. The man who had once led our family in prayer every morning was now talking about rituals. Rituals that involved blood, sacrifice, and things that I had been taught were evil. I could not even believe what I was hearing. "You can't be serious, Peter," I said, my voice trembling. "This is witchcraft. It's against Christianity. This is not what Christ died for. He was fighting against witchcraft." We spoke each and every time when we would talk about this. My husband will tell me that we were out of options. The banks were going to take everything from us. What are we going to do, my wife? Is God going to come back and help us? You should pray that rapture should happen soon. How are you going to survive, my wife, if I get arrested, since I owe a lot of people a lot of money? Are you going to watch our children starve to death? I'm not suggesting that we become evil people Like you are thinking, we just need to survive to repay everything that we are owing. I wanted to refuse him. I wanted to stand up and walk away, but the truth was deep down, I was scared. I was scared of losing everything we had worked hard for. I was scared of the shame of failure. And in that moment of fear, I did something that I never thought I'll ever do in my life with the way that I loved Jesus Christ. I then agreed. I agreed to do the things that my husband wanted us to do as a couple. He arranged for us to meet with the Nganga a few weeks later. He did not tell me much about what was going to happen, only that we had to travel to Chokwe, a small town. And most of the people there, he said, they do these rituals. So we went there to Chokwe, and when we arrived there, all that we had to do was to ask for directions. It seemed as if people, they already knew the person that we were looking for. We arrived in Chokwe early in the morning, and I could feel the weight of what we were about to do pressing down on me. When we arrived at the small compound, I saw that indeed the man, he seemed to be very powerful. There were people there that were already in queue waiting for him. As for the old man, his face wrinkled, and you could tell that he was quite old, but still he walked around as if he was a young man. He did not speak much. When our turn came, he only gave us instructions. He told us that in order to save our business, we needed to make a sacrifice. Not just any sacrifice though. He needed the blood of a relative. This was what was needed. The stronger the connection, the stronger that the love that there is between you and that person that you want to sacrifice, the greater the reward. I felt sick. The thought of sacrificing a family member for wealth was beyond anything that I could ever comprehend. But my husband, he was too deep. He handed this Nganga a list, the list had the names of our relatives, our own blood relatives. The Nganga, the Sangoma, looked it over, nodded, and began the preparations. But as for me, my hands were shaking, and I could barely breathe. That night, we performed the ritual. I can't go into the detail, for it is very painful, too dark to put into words. But as the blood was spilled, I knew that everything that I had done on that night, I had now became the devil's child. The next morning, we returned back home. I could not even look at myself in the mirror. The guilt was just too much. But my husband, him being a brave man, he said that what we had done this so that we can secure our children's future. It seemed as if the ritual was working. Our businesses were working again. The catches were becoming bigger and bigger. And my husband said, "You see, my wife, that's all that we needed to do." I won't lie to you. After the first ritual, I started to feel that there was something that was possessing my heart. I felt the Holy Spirit leaving my heart. Even right now, I do not have the Holy Spirit in me. Some people might not understand. You might be a sinner, but still you have the Holy Spirit in you. But there is a time when you feel the Holy Spirit leaving your body. I do go to church, but it is just a matter of convincing people. I felt invincible at that time. I had my doubts at the beginning. We were raised Christians, me and my husband, but when the money started pouring in, it was hard to feel guilty about anything. Our fishing business went from barely surviving to thriving almost overnight. Every time our boats went out, they came back full of fish, bigger catches than we would ever seen. And with bigger catches came bigger profits. People, they started talking about us. They wondered how me and my husband, we had managed to turn our struggling business into one of the most successful in our province in such a short time. They even started coming to us asking for financial advice, asking how we were making it and how we were keeping up with the competition when everyone else was struggling. Let them wonder, let them talk, for we knew what we had done. And honestly, I did not care. All those people who were whispering behind our backs, they were just jealous. If they had the courage to do what we did, they would be where we were at that time, wealthy, successful, and untouchable. We upgraded everything: new boats, new fishing nets, better equipment. Our house, once small and modest, became a mansion. We sent our children to the best schools. We wore the finest clothes, ate the best food, traveled wherever we wanted. Me and my husband, we were now living the life that we always dreamt of. Why should we not? We had worked hard for it, sacrificed for it. The rituals, well, they were just part of the cost of doing business. I know what you are thinking. How can someone live with their conscience each and every day telling them that they sacrificed their own blood, knowing what you did, sacrificing your own family? But here is the thing: everyone makes sacrifices to get ahead. Some people sacrifice their time, their health, their dignity. We just did what we had to do, what had to be done. If I could go back and do it, I will do it again. I would not change a thing. You see, after the first ritual, things were going so well that me and my husband, we did not see any reason to stop. Why should we? The healer had promised us wealth, and he had delivered. We were loyal to him. We would always return back to him. And with time, that was when people started dying in the family. So what happens is that whenever someone dies in the family, like we wrote on a piece of paper all the people that are supposed to die. So if it is my mother, if it is a time to die, then her name will disappear from the list. The moment that my mother's name will disappear from the list, then we have to return back to the traditional healer. And once we return back to the healer, then there are some more rituals that are supposed to be done. Usually these rituals, they involve us giving the man some money, then he give us a goat or maybe a cow. It depends with the person who is going to die. Just like my mom, when she passed away, since she was my mom, we had to sacrifice a cow. When it was my uncle, we had to sacrifice a bull. Then if it is my sister or my brother, we sacrifice a goat. So it all depends with what kind of a relationship do you have with the person that you are about to sacrifice. When we return back home, when we look on that piece of paper that contains the names of the people that we sacrificed, then we'll see that on the place where we had written the name would have been wiped out, and we'll see blood there. It is always fresh blood, but when you see this blood, it just appears, then it just disappears. So right now, Brother Nashi, so that is how me and my husband did our rituals. And of course, our business is thriving. I do not regret what I did, not one bit. The sacrifices, and I feel that the rituals, they were necessary. We got what we wanted. We have the life that we deserve. And if anyone thinks that they are better than us, let them try to survive in this world without making sacrifices. Even when you go to church, you are sacrificing your time, are you not? The hours that you're going to spend sitting in church, you are sacrificing something. Yeah, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister who received this message. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. She's saying that everyone in this life, we all make different sacrifices. So do not judge me simply because I sacrificed my own mother. Do you agree or do you disagree? Please let us try to speak with her in the comment section.